Good day everyone, I'm Ethan, moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone for today's webinar, OSHA's Focus 4 Safety Hazards, Falls Caught in or Between Struck by Hazards, and Electrocution. Our knowledge introducers are presenter for today, Joe Keenan. Joe Keenan is a highly experienced environmental health and safety, EHS and human resources HR professional and management consultant with over 25 years of experience. I'd now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, Joe.
All right. Well, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for participating. Got a very important and a very timely topic to cover, which is OSHA's Focus 4. There's a lot of material in this. What we want to do today with this presentation is define what the OSHA's Focus 4 high hazard safety activities are. And these are the critical things that can hurt or kill an employee. We also want to teach effective employee hazard recognition and response for OSHA's Focus 4 high hazard safety activities. So OSHA's Focus 4, and OSHA defines these again, is the high potential for somebody to get hurt or killed. So why is it important to focus in on these? Well, according to OSHA itself, 90% of all fatalities are related to the Focus 4 hazards. So that's the vast majority of all fatalities in the United States. So why is it important to conduct a proper fall protection job hazard analysis? Well, according to OSHA, falls are the leading cause of death in the construction industry. You take any one of these statistics, they're sobering, but if you add them all together, they paint a very important picture about falls, one of the OSHA Focus 4 categories. It's important to conduct a proper fall protection job hazard analysis because falls from as little as 4 to 6 feet, so we talk about slips, trips, and falls as part of that, so fall to the same height. So some questions to ask, kind of prime the pump for training. Now here's OSHA's standards relating to fall industry. So you've got general industry and you've got construction. So OSHA has two standards. Anytime you see 1910, we're talking about general industry. When we talk about 1926, we're talking about construction. So again, as we talked about, there are two main types of falls. You've got falls to from the same level, for example, slips, trips, walking working surfaces, and falls from heights. All right, so slips caused by a slippery surface and poor housekeeping. So trips occur when a foot strikes an object and stops forward movement. This also dovetails into ladder safety. So for each 4 foot of rise, the base should be 1 foot out. The ladder must be absolutely stable. This infographic from OSHA. So again, these pictures are courtesy of OSHA. You've got a ladder working out of the back of a backhoe or a dump truck. They're at least attempting to keep the ladders secured. So OSHA's fall protection requirements. Now, according to OSHA, to prevent employees from being injured from falls, employees must guard every floor hole into which a worker can accidentally walk. So here's a good example of a top rail, a mid rail, and a toe board. Now, other means of fall protection that may be required on certain jobs include safety harnesses and lines, safety nets, stair railings, and handrails. So some of OSHA's most frequently cited standards are around the OSHA's Focus 4 and fall hazards. Failure to protect workers from falling into or through walls and openings in floors and walls. Failure to provide guardrails or runways and ramps where workers exposed to falls are 6 feet or more to a lower level. So some good work practices. Now we talk about hierarchy of fall protection. So the order of which you should address fall protection. Eliminate the fall hazard through a process design change, work practice control, or administrative control. We go back to our example of fixed fall protection guardrails, personal fall restraint systems. So here are some common types of fall protection equipment. Now, a personal fall arrest system, a good example is shown in this picture. So PFAS requirements, self-retracting lanyards limit falls to 2 feet. Now, again, here's some pictures courtesy of OSHA, again, for the training side. The other thing with scissors lifts, good hazard recognition photos. You've got an unprotected edge, improper guarding. So here you've got rebar. First of all, they need safety caps on the rebars, and skylights. Skylights are notorious for injuries and fall throughs. So we're moving on to electrical safe work practices, which is the next OSHA Focus 4. So electrical safe work practices. You got the effects of electricity on the body. The list below shows a general relationship between the amount of current received and the reaction when the current flows through the hand to the foot 5 milliamps, which a ground fault circuit interrupter is designed to trip at, 50 to 150 milliamps. Electrical safe work practices, this is where lockout tagout comes in, are de-energizing parts. So you want to lockout tagout of de-energized parts. So you want to disconnect circuits and equipment from all electric energy sources and release stored electric energy. Block or relieve all stored non-electric energy in devices that could re-energize electric circuit parts. Re-energizing equipment. A qualified person must conduct tests and visual inspections as necessary. Any employees exposed to the hazards associated with the re-energizing the circuit or the equipment must be trained and warned to stay clear of circuits and equipment. Each lock and tag must be removed by the employee who applied it under his or her direct supervision. The employer ensures that the employee who applied the lock and tag is not available. There must be a visual determination that all employees are clear of the circuits and equipment. Going to the next category of struck by fatalities. Now, causes of caught in between hazards. So some general tips on trench safety. You want to keep the surface around the trench clean. So pile all excavated materials at least 2 feet back from the edge of the trench or the spoil pile. If there is not enough room to allow at least 2 feet, remove excavated materials from the immediate location. Don't work around the edge of the trench when others are below. So sloped walls, benching, and you want to construct a support system made with posts, beams, shores, planking, and hydraulic jacks. Now for trench safety, again, we're touching some of the highlights. So boom lifts and power lines. Do not exceed the boom and basket load limits set by the manufacturer. So when working on or near lines, use the following PPE or personal protective equipment at a minimum. So insulated buckets. Never try to modify or alter the insulation on a basket. It could reduce its level of protection. And also from working from the ground. So watch for falling objects when the boom is directly overhead. You want to cordon the area off. Don't operate the boom from the ground unless there's an emergency. All right, so some additional safety tips. So again, here's some hazard recognition photos. Last element we want to talk about is 4 important elements to consider when addressing OSHA's Focus 4 hazards. So management, commitment, and employee involvement are complementary. Worksite analysis, which is critical to identifying OSHA's Focus 4 hazards. So hazard prevention and control. And last, but certainly not least by any stretch, is safety and health training. Some additional help. Make sure your employees at all levels of the organization are fully trained on what OSHA's Focus 4 hazards are. All right, well, thank you so much. Hope you got some good tips out of this, and we hope you have a great, safe rest of the weekend.
Thanks, Joe. So participants, that does conclude the session for today. I hope everyone enjoyed the same, and thank you everyone for participating. You may all disconnect now. Have a great weekend.